What would you do if you had $220 million in your bank account but could not withdraw it? Such an amount could get you a rare Ford GT40 or Jeff Bezos' Jack Warner estate in Beverly Hills. Yet, you cannot access it because you lost your password. For Stephan Thomas, a German-born programmer, this peculiar dilemma is more fact than fiction. But his millions are not in a bank account, but a crypto wallet, and he forgot his seed phrase. Yes, the story is just as interesting as you think, so don't go anywhere. Stay with us till the end to hear one of the most unbelievable stories you will find on the internet today. I just lay in bed and think about it. In January 2021, the New York Times published a story that left readers with their mouths agape. It was incredulous, yet totally heartbreaking. Perhaps it can also be described as relatable. I mean, it is pretty easy for anyone to be so lucky to be paid 7,002 bitcoins that would be worth $220 million years later. Stephan Thomas created an animated video titled "What is Bitcoin?" in 2011 for a client who was an early Bitcoin fanatic. As a payment, he received 7,002 bitcoins, which he stored in a hard drive called IronKey. Later that year, Thomas lost the paper on which he wrote the password to the drive. For anyone who knows Bitcoin, you would know that this was an enormous mistake. Bitcoin, like all cryptocurrencies, does not offer the opportunity to retrieve lost passwords as traditional banks do. It is one of its flaws. The main idea behind Bitcoin, when Satoshi Nakamoto introduced it in 2009, was to turn you into your bank. It eliminates the need for third parties like banks and the government in financial transactions. Hence, only you can have access to your funds, which creates the unresolvable problem that once you lose your password, it is lost forever. IronKey gives only 10 attempts to get the password right before it encrypts the data inside permanently. Thomas made 8 guesses and was left with only 2 more. Speaking on his situation, the German-born programmer told the New York Times, "I would just lay in bed and think about it. Then I would go to the computer with some new strategy, and it wouldn't work, and I would be desperate again." We can only imagine how nerve-wracking it must have felt for Thomas to be sitting in a bank vault and be completely helpless. Perhaps you might blame him for losing his password, but in 2011, Bitcoin was not what it is now. There's no central bank to regulate it. Bitcoin began trading for 9 cents in July 2010. A year earlier, the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto had published his white paper, A Peer-to-Peer Electronic Cash System, which ushered the world into the age of crypto and blockchains. Although the new digital currency had potential, few people considered it to be more than the latest techno garbage of geeks. On May 22, 2010, Laszlo Hanyecz, a Floridian programmer, bought 2 Papa John's pizzas with 10,000 bitcoins, and it was widely celebrated as it was the first commercial use of Bitcoin. If only they knew what was coming. In January 2012, the host of CNBC's Mad Money, Jim Cramer, played himself in an episode of CBS's legal drama, The Good Wife. In the courtroom scene, he testifies that he believes Bitcoin is not a true currency, saying, "There's no central bank to regulate it, it's digital, and functions completely peer-to-peer." Cramer voiced the opinions of most people, including financial experts on Bitcoin at the time. The digital currency was merely a plaything for a couple of fanatics from Silicon Valley. Some even called it a bubble. Then, Bitcoin hit the $1,000 mark in 2013. Several businesses began to accept the fake currency as payment, such as WikiLeaks, OkCupid, and Foodler, to mention a few. Some declared it was the new gold, but the golden boy of the moment was anything but stable. It fell and rose to fall again. Nevertheless, it was already proving to be the right decision for those who invested early. On November 8, 2021, Bitcoin hit an all-time high of $67,566.83. Laszlo's 10,000 Bitcoins were now worth over $670 million. The cryptocurrency had gone from buying pizzas to becoming the world's biggest crypto. But what does that mean to those unlucky enough to have forgotten their passwords? What I have now is a fraction of what I could have that I lost. When the New York Times covered Stephan's story, Bitcoin had hit a record high $20,000 a month earlier and was still up by over 50%. The unlucky Bitcoinaire had to watch prices soar to $20K and then drop without catching out. He could not have known then, but the cryptocurrency would hit $67,000 8 months later and triple his net worth. However, Stephan is not alone in his misery. Of the existing 18.5 million Bitcoins, around 20%, currently worth over $140 billion, appear to be in lost or otherwise stranded wallets, according to the cryptocurrency data firm Chainalysis. Many of these Bitcoin owners have owned the crypto since its early days 2 decades ago and are frustrated as they have no access to their fortunes. Brad Yassar, a Los Angeles entrepreneur, mined thousands of Bitcoin during the early days of the technology. These coins are stored in the desktop computers he used to mine them, but he cannot access his wealth. He lost the passwords many years ago and stored the hard drives out of sight in vacuum-sealed bags. I don't want to be reminded every day that what I have now is a fraction of what I could have that I lost, he said. Another entrepreneur, 34-year-old Gabriel Abed, lost 800 Bitcoins in 2011 when his laptop containing the private keys to a Bitcoin wallet was formatted by a colleague. His haul is worth around $25 million. Nevertheless, Abed does not share Yassar's disappointment. In comparison, he remains enthusiastic. Barbados, where he resides, has no access to affordable digital financial products like credit cards and bank accounts easily available in other countries. Bitcoin gave him full access to the digital financial world for the first time. Better still, the 800 Bitcoins he lost have not dampened his success in the slightest. He has bought and sold more tokens, which has given him enough wealth to purchase a 100-acre plot of land in Barbados for over $25 million. Making even wider internet infamy is James Howell, a Welsh computer engineer who took up legal action in September 2023 against the city of Newport. Why? Well, the city's council has refused to grant him permission to dig through a landfill and find his hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoins, now worth $194 million. Howell had accidentally thrown away the hard drive in 2013 during a house cleaning. Determined to retrieve his wealth, in 2022, the Welsh gathered a 16-man team of experts and planned to utilize AI and robotic dogs to search for the hard drive. He secured $11 million in hedge fund backing and promised Newport several incentives if he were to find the hard drive. Unfortunately, the city council is not budging. It has stated huge ecological risk as the reason for its denial of permit, and not surprisingly, Howell is livid. Let it be in the past, just for your own mental health. For Stephan Thomas, the idea of being your own bank has soured over the years as his loss rose from $140,000 to over $220 million. He has been sold on the idea of having an asset outside the control of a country, but the loss has humbled him. Speaking with As It Happens host Carol Off, he said, "I think that as a practical matter, for most people, it's probably better to hold their Bitcoins with a custodian, like an institution that specializes in securing and storing Bitcoins." While he is still a proponent of giving people their choice in choosing whether to be their own bank or not, he is obviously not as enthusiastic about the former as he was years earlier. Fortunately for Thomas, he held on to enough Bitcoins, and remembered their passwords, to have more riches than he knew what to do with. He also joined the cryptocurrency startup Ripple in 2012 and got its native token XRP. Although Ripple's trouble with the SEC threatened his net worth for a while, he is now in a better place. With 2 tries left, he has stored his iron key in a secure facility pending when cryptographers come up with a way to crack the password. According to him, since his story went public, he has received several calls from experts that claim to be able to help him, and he hopes retrieving his assets would be a possibility in the future. However, for now, he just wants to get it off his mind and move on. "I got to a point where I said to myself, let it be in the past, just for your own mental health,"